What's good, people? What's good, people? So we've just had Terence Crawford defeat Canelo Alvarez. Um, what a performance by Crawford. I was gonna do a prediction video, but I didn't manage to do it. I was actually gonna predict Canelo Alvarez to either stop Crawford late on in that fight, but wow, I'm really shocked to what I've seen. And when I mean shocked, I was so surprised the fact that Terence Crawford was able to stand in the pocket and fight with Canelo Alvarez. Now, Canelo is a much bigger man. He was started off his career as a welterweight. Crawford started his career as a lightweight. But there wasn't a huge size difference. Crawford didn't look out of his depth when you saw them. Crawford looked like he had filled out. But Canelo clearly in the ring was the bigger man. But what really, I think, surprised me is the fact that Canelo's punches had no impact on Crawford. Like, I'm not saying that when he hit him a couple of times, of course especially some of those body shots would have definitely had some effect. But the fact that it didn't have the effect that I thought it would was kind of crazy. And the fact that Crawford was standing there at times in the middle of the ring and having it out with Canelo. I think Crawford was too fast. I think Canelo is loading up on too many shots. I just think that Canelo, I think, is throughout his career, we've seen he struggles against really good boxers. And I actually didn't think Crawford had the style to beat Canelo. And what I mean by that is that Crawford's a very aggressive fighter, right? And I felt he was going to leave opportunities for Canelo, which he did. But I think what staggered me, and I think what was the difference, is how tough Crawford was, how the ability of Crawford to absorb Canelo's punches. I mean, Crawford didn't even look like he had been in that hard a fight. Look at his face. He didn't, and even he wasn't blowing at the end. He just looked like it'd been like a sparring match. And I do think the scorecards were right. I don't think it was as one-sided as what they were making it out in the commentary. The commentary was making it out like as if it was really, really one-sided. It wasn't one-sided. I thought Canelo won the first two rounds, which they seemed to have given to Crawford. But I actually think the scorecards was fair. I think Crawford was the right winner. But I think Crawford, his legacy at this point, it puts him on. I feel he's one of the greatest fighters of all time. I think that win, and I even said this, that I don't think Crawford can win this fight, just because I think of the difference in size and the style. I don't think Crawford is going to be able to beat Canelo. And I said if he did beat Canelo, then we have to start talking about Terence Crawford as one of the greatest fighters of all time. And I do feel that Terence Crawford should be mentioned in the same breath as Mayweather, Robinson, Ali, those type of level of fighters, because I think what Crawford's done here to become undisputed in 3 weight classes and then to move up effectively 3 weight classes, because I know he beat Madrimov, but he effectively moved up 3 weight classes because he only had one fight at 154. He wasn't even a settled fighter. I know he beat a champion, but it's incredible what Crawford's done. And I honestly think Crawford is generational great, but I think he's one of the greatest fighters that we've ever seen in the sport. In terms of Canelo, I think Canelo's also a very, very great fighter. I think he's obviously a legend. He's achieved so much. But there's been a consistent theme in Canelo's career, unfortunately, where he struggles against these type of really elite level boxers. Where we take it Bivol, we take it, Crawford, Mayweather, and, other fighters like Lara gave him a lot of issues. I just think that the way Crawford fought this fight, I think even in a rematch, Crawford would have Canelo's number. I don't see how Canelo can adjust, and because I don't think Canelo's at a stage in his career where I think Canelo's had so many fights. I don't think he's the fighter he was. Like, to be honest, Crawford beat him in a way, I didn't think he could beat him. I didn't think Crawford could stand there and have it off with Canelo. I thought punches would have a significant impact, but they had no impact. They had no impact, or like they might have had an impact, but not the impact that I thought that they would have. I thought Canelo would really hurt Crawford, but he couldn't hurt him. He couldn't hurt him. And look, Crawford is smart. He's difficult to hit. It's not easy to hit Crawford, but you still think that if Canelo was to catch Crawford, which he did multiple times, you would thought that it would have had a lot more impact than it did. It didn't. That was unbelievable by Crawford, honestly. That was an unbelievable performance by Terence Crawford. I'm still in shock. I didn't think Crawford could win this fight. I didn't think Crawford could win this fight at all. I thought Crawford was gonna get hit at some point in the fight, and that was gonna change the fight. And a lot of people thought that. There were people picking Terence Crawford as well, and I thought it was just a case where when you have two fights of this magnitude, or when you have two fighters, of this magnitude that fight in different weight classes, what happens is that initially people say, "Oh, Canelo's too big." As the fight gets closer, people forget that they're fighters of two different weight classes, and then they just look at them as two great fighters, and they forget the size difference. But in the end, the size difference, didn't really matter at all. Crawford completely negated that and proved that, size doesn't matter. I don't think Canelo was that much bigger than him. But he was, even though he was, I still felt Canelo's the bigger man. But Crawford just negated that completely. And he was so confident while he was fighting. Crawford just looked so composed, so relaxed. At times he was smiling at Canelo. He was talking to Canelo. And Canelo just wasn't able to assert the pressure that he needed to. And I feel that sometimes Canelo, in situations like that, I think he needs to throw more caution to the wind. Now, he tried, but I just feel like I just don't feel like he did enough. When he knew that he wasn't hurting Crawford, he needed to do more. And look, he's a great fighter, Canelo. He's done a lot. But the way Crawford was able to win, what Crawford was able to do to Canelo, I didn't think that Crawford would be able to do that. That was unbelievable, unbelievable. Like I said, I'm so shocked in a way, because to move up two weight classes like that and just beat him. I do think the fight was close, but I think it was a convincing win. Even though the fight wasn't like it wasn't like a landslide win for Crawford, but it was convincing. And for a guy to move up two weight classes and beat a guy convincingly, where there's no doubt he won the fight, I think it's staggering. I honestly think Crawford, his legacy goes through the roof, because whenever Crawford moves up and fights somebody that people say, ooh, like when they were saying with Spence 50-50, he completely dominated Spence. Here, it wasn't even 50-50. Canelo was the favorite and the bookie's favorite. And Crawford just won convincingly. Okay, he wasn't able to dominate Canelo, but we expect that. Canelo's a better fighter than Spence. So we weren't expecting him to totally have it his own way and dominate. But the fact that he was able to raise his game and win comfortably, in my opinion, I think it was an unbelievable performance by Terence Crawford. I think it was an unbelievable performance, and I think you have to give him immense credit. Immense credit. And I think that, wow, what a performance. What a performance that was from Terence Crawford. A serious performance. So yeah, I think you have to give him all the credit in the world. He's pulled off an unbelievable win. And yeah, like I said, I think Terence Crawford puts himself in the conversation as one of the greatest fighters of all time. I think him and Usyk have put themselves head and shoulders above any fighter in the last 10, 15 years. Obviously, there was Mayweather and Pacquiao prior, but I think in the last 10, 15 years, I think Terence Crawford and Usyk are two of the greatest fighters, and I think they're in the conversation of GOAT status. They've just completely dominated their competition, And what Crawford's done and what Usyk's done, I think is going to be very hard to replicate again. And I think as for Canelo, I think where does Canelo go from here? Does he retire? I don't think he can beat Crawford. Based on what I saw here, I think Crawford will beat him again. But Canelo's had a great career as well, so maybe because you can't really, like, who can Canelo fight now? The only fight he can have is the rematch. And if you think about it, it's not like Canelo can fight anybody else. There's no real fights out there for him. There's, fights like Hamza Shiraz, but like those type of fights are dangerous, risky fights at this point in Canelo's career. And I just don't think that. I think him fighting Beterbiev or Bivol is a far-fetched. If he can't beat Crawford, right, and Crawford's a smaller guy, then fighting someone like Beterbiev no, I don't see those being right fights. And also Bivol, we've already seen him and beat him, and Bivol's young. He's fresh. He's just come off his best win against Beterbiev. So, yeah, I think that might be it for Canelo, to be honest. But yeah, what did you guys make of the fight? Leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think. That was an incredible performance by Crawford. And yeah, I think what do you think for both? I think I wouldn't be surprised if they both retire. But there might be some appetite for a rematch just because the amount of money that Crawford could make. Because there was a rumor that Crawford made about 10 million and Canelo made like 150 million. I'd like to think Crawford made more. But if that's the case, and the way Crawford fought this fight, he might think that, a rematch is great because I'll beat Canelo again. And next time I might get 50 million or 60 million. So I think Crawford may do it again, especially if it's true that he got paid $10 million or that was being reported. Because obviously that's not that much in comparison to what Canelo got. And if Crawford can get a rematch where he can get 40, 50 million, why not him take the fight again, beat Canelo again, and then get paid a lot more and then retire? So that might happen as well. So leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and I'll see you guys in the next video.